guys wonder why I hate women.
Secure the ballistics.
I might as well get something out of it, right?
My balls from getting bigger, you know.
Inslayer Cologne, thanks to the 2 pounds. Video eulogy for video games.
Testing is a stage of grief that's often overlooked. Most are familiar with the stages of grief, usually knowing them as being denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I believe that the challenge run is an analog to the testing stage of grief. A challenge run imposes a limitation on a video game, often one that's...
Okay, I have to say, I'm getting tilted. Why is he not picking up the blue stud? I'm getting pissed. Why is he not picking this up?
one that seems impossible, like beating a platformer game without jumping, and then attempts to overcome this seemingly impossible challenge. And most of the time, the conclusion is that the challenge is indeed impossible.
Yeah, do you know how many of those fucking video... I hate that video algorithm. That whole... This is why I hate the algorithm. I'm not going to rant about this because I could easily go off on a tangent, but all it takes to manipulate the... You can manipulate the YouTube algorithm like fucking stocks if just enough people get together and decide, hey, I want this to be the new trending thing. If just a bunch of popular YouTubers, like let's just say like 20 of like the most popular YouTubers all decide one day, we should all make videos titled like, I mean, we could just, I'm not going to come up with an example. We could just be like, can you beat, you know, Mario without jumping? Like if everyone at the same time, assuming the trend didn't exist, they all released a video titled that at the same time, instantly the algorithm would push every video with that title. Instantly. You can literally manipulate it in real time if people work together to do it. Because it's shit. The YouTube algorithm is fucking dog shit and always has been. But anyway, that's what I always hated about those videos. I've seen several of them. I usually resisted, like, when they all got pushed at the same time. I'm like, this is inorganic and it's not even that interesting. But people love them anyway, for whatever reason. It's stupid. But 90% of the time, within the first 5 minutes of the video, the answer is, no, we can't. We have to cheat at this part. All right, go fuck yourself then. You know, if people had any goddamn balls, they dislike the video, hit don't recommend channel, and never watch them again. But no, they're all cum guzzlers. Every single one of them. Like, they'll... Never mind, I'm not going to try to do a rant about my videos, but that's what deserves dislikes. Not hearing an opinion you don't like.
You fucking bitch.
All right, moving on.
I think there's something inspiring and empowering about seeing possibilities we have never considered being discovered within the confines of rigid limitations. I myself have done several challenge runs of my favorite video game.
I mean, I'm gonna let him keep going, but yeah, I agree. He has self-awareness clearly because he's going to obviously address that. This is fucked. Like, this is... I get, you know, I'm assuming what he's leading up to is the only reason you even do challenge runs is because you're not having fun playing games anymore in the first place, right? Judging by the video title. Yeah, eulogy for video games, yeah.
Dark Souls. For example, I did a run where I didn't use any Estus flasks. Now, as I said, I'm not a pro that can beat Dark Souls without taking damage or anything, and I still allowed myself to heal using humanities. But even this is a harsh limitation. Humanities don't refresh at bonfires like Estus flasks do, and are far more limited in quantity. They also have a slightly longer healing animation, so they are riskier to use in combat. Beating Dark Souls this...
Yeah, I'll speed it up a little.
Perhaps my personal favorite was beating the entire game using only one bonfire, the one at Firelink Shrine. And holy, you think the runbacks in Dark Souls are bad enough already? Imagine my agony dying 3 times to the Bed of Chaos fight and having to walk all the way from...
I'll never understand this type of autism. If there's no tangible reward for doing something, what the fuck's the point? Like, in defense of the videos I was shitting on before, there is a tangible reward to those. They make money through ad revenue. And if you have sponsorships, right, you need to make a video anyway to stick with the sponsorship. There is no reason to torture yourself like this. There's no way this is fun. Like, I don't know. This is such a fucking waste. I can't help but think I don't know. You could say I'm a hypocrite, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. But I can't help but think like the type of people who are able to persist through challenges like this for no reward are the type of people who should be doing something useful in society, because clearly you are fine with torturing yourself with self-imposed challenges for nothing. So you probably should do something hard in real life nobody else wants to do. Because like what the this is fucking stupid. This is torture.
You don't like real girls.
And because I couldn't rest at any other bonfires, I had to manage my Estus flasks and humanities wisely. Not to mention, the stakes for dying were much higher, which made each encounter much more intense. Completing the game this way was quite an enriching experience. Might be the most enjoyment I have ever gotten out of Dark Souls. I also...
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. This is why the Souls games went to shit. Because all people cared about at the end was the challenge. Not the good level design, not the interesting bosses. None of that. They care about, is it hard? Yes, no. If it's not hard, it's not good.
did a run where I could only attack using throwing knives and fire bombs. That also made me play the game very differently and was quite fun. And surprisingly, I successfully completed all 3 of these challenges. It's amazing what's still possible, even within strict limitations. I think it was around the time of the pandemic I started doing these challenge runs, which is fitting.
Yeah, see, here we go. So yeah, you were locked inside, had nothing better to do. This is just, man, I don't know.
The pandemic was just one such instance, but everyone, and especially millennials and Gen Z in particular, are poorer now than they were before, and poorer than the last couple generations as well. There are financial limitations being imposed on us.
Oh my god, wait, why does this look cursed? What the fuck's wrong with the visuals?
And I think that factors into the popularity of the challenge run. In better economic times, we might have just alleviated our boredom by buying a new video game. But that's hard to justify when the new AAA Slop costs $100 a game, and probably isn't even that good of a game anyway. And that's another factor. The quality of video games has dramatically...
That game, man, I kind of botched the video a little. I don't know what, I was smoking crack with the audio. I'm usually pretty good about audio mixing. I fucked it completely in that video. But I really don't remember why. Because, like, I knew immediately after I uploaded it was fucked. I should have just literally re-uploaded it. I think I was just tired of working on the video. I didn't care. I've gotten burnout so many times over the years. That was probably just another burnout phase where I'm like, I'm done working on this. Just fucking shove it out.
decreased. Most games are released buggy and half-finished, and even the ones that function properly are often boring walking simulators with 200 hours of cutscenes and lackluster gameplay. Speaking of limitations, most modern video games are so on rails and give you so little agency that it boggles my mind they are video games in the first place. At a certain point, it might as well just be an animated film instead. Gaming has become so costly and boring that people would rather do challenge runs of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, a simple children's game from 2007.
Okay, I think you're vastly overrepresenting the demographic that's actually doing challenge runs. I think the only people doing challenge runs for fun are autists, because there's millions of games you could play. Yes, everything you said about AAA was correct. There are decades of video games that you've never played before. Thousands. There's no way, there's no fucking way, especially this guy admitted to wasting hundreds, if not maybe thousands of hours playing Dark Souls. You could have played other games, new cool games from the past, new to you, old games. But old good games have new experiences instead of waste them playing the same game for the millionth time. I wouldn't even say price is a restriction, because if you have a computer, you can just emulate most old games. They're not demanding at all on modern hardware. So, emulation was a problem for people 10 years ago, if you had a low-end PC. But a low-end PC now can run all the best games ever made. So, I don't... maybe... I feel like that's not even an exaggeration. Honestly, a low-end PC built today could run every good game that's ever come out. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, to tie back into the point, I think most of the people who do challenge runs, it's for the YouTube algorithm, unironically. I don't ever play the whole woe is me, I'm a YouTuber game, but one of the things I sympathize the most with people getting burnt out on YouTube is that the algorithm really restricts you to doing either one or two, maybe three types of content if you get lucky. If you look at Every popular channel ever, if they want to do something completely different, they make a second channel, right? Like the equivalent for my channel would be I would have the Strange Seed video on my second channel because I know the non-stream viewers, you know, which is the majority of my audience don't watch streams, are never going to click on the Strange Seed video. And that's exactly what happened, right? So I don't have a second channel and I don't have the energy to run a second channel. But people who do have a second channel, right? My main channel really is just for two types of videos. It's for modern game reviews and gaming is dying. I guess you could say the third type of video is movie and TV show reviews when I bother doing those. But that's it. Anything outside of those three things is not going to be successful.
Those Star Wars challenge runs from time to time, and it's fascinating how much stuff you can pull off in that game, often employing very outside-the-box thinking. For some reason, they just don't make games like this anymore. It's as if it's physically impossible to recreate in every single way imaginable. They released a new LEGO Star Wars game in 2022, and lo and behold, it's a boring walking simulator. The charm is gone, and the mechanical depth is missing. It's as if the fabric of the universe won't allow us to have nice things anymore. I know that's...
Well, you know, that's the gay way of saying it. The accurate way of saying it is Jews love ruining everything. It's not the universe. It's very calculated and on purpose. It is definitely on purpose. There's so many factors at play here. Like, even I would say the leftist interpretation is even better than just saying the universe. Like, yes, corporate interests, investors, that kind of shit. Again, I love how they agree with us on the private equity firms thing, but they would never say BlackRock because that would be acknowledging the grifter chuds. But they do agree. They're just being as usual. That is a big component. Obviously, the game developers being incompetent fucks is an equally big component that they don't want to acknowledge.
Sounds a bit dramatic, but it's very bizarre to me that the bog standard, average, decent video game from the early 2000s is somehow just impossible to recreate or surpass. It is always just a downgrade from the original.
The Phantom Menace and Skywalker Saga is an hour and 3 minutes long with 14 minutes worth of cutscenes and about 26 minutes of walking around or running or flying from point A to point B where you aren't actually doing much outside of maybe like 2 puzzles in this entire time period. The remainder of the time was 23 minutes spent actually playing a mission. This means that
it's crazy how it has become less and less common to point out shit like this because people are just, they've been conditioned. They've been fucking conditioned. Everyone who praised, like, I know, I can blame myself, even though I didn't have a channel at the time, so it's not like I could have done any damage to the game industry, but other than the money I spent. But, like, every single person who praised God of War 2018, you know, you can go further back than that, like, to The Last of Us or whatever, but I think God of War 2018 was a big, huge turning point. But everyone who praised, like, the 15-minute cutscene at the beginning, it's just like, this is how we got to this. Every single game became The Last of Us, is what happened. But worse. Everything was worse in terms of the movie game shit.
at 64% of my playtime is spent not even in a mission and either watching a cutscene or just running from point A to point B. And that means that 36% of it is in mission gameplay. 85% versus 36%.
It's only been 20 years. That's not that long ago. How is it already a lost art? I think about games like Skyrim and Red Dead Redemption, and how impressive those games were when they came out. And despite the many flaws of those two games, I still feel like they have not been surpassed. They still feel like the height of gaming's achievement as a medium so far.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my fucking life. This is how games got this bad. It's like, how could you say... Never mind. I'm not going to get into this. He might have had a point with Skyrim in terms of Bethesda has no competition. But if you even for a goddamn second are pretending Skyrim is one of the greatest games ever made, you are fucked in the head. Absolutely fucked. Worst priorities in human history. How do you spend, like half this video complaining about basically, well, I guess he was very vague in talking about gameplay, but games like the old, even though they're fetus games, the old Lego Star Wars games were about gameplay. Skyrim is not about gameplay in that sense. It's about immersion and quests and like RPG stuff. The actual gameplay of Skyrim is extremely mediocre. Extremely. Like, it is, like, the most, like, it has no depth, no good complexity whatsoever. Like,
fuck no.
No. Like, it has its appeals. It's not a bad game. But if we're talking about gameplay, like, actual gameplay, that's, like, one of the weakest elements of Skyrim. To claim that's the pinnacle of gaming's achievements is insane. And Red Dead is fine. Like, I feel like if I played Red Dead Redemption again, I'd probably have the same problems I have with all of Rockstar's games as I got older, right? But, you know, I remembered liking it as a teenager, so I'm not really going to shit on it. I mean, I like Skyrim as a teenager too, but, you know, as I got older, I'm like, wow, this is like really shallow and poorly written in a lot of places, and just kind of, I don't know, it's not that fun to actually play.
And again, I could rant for hours about the problems with these titles. They are far from perfect, but honestly, what has even come close to these games in recent years? It's been well over a
I mean, it depends on your priorities. That's the thing. Like, in those specific genres, like with Skyrim, like what's the competition for Skyrim? I'm not gonna say Tainted Grail, because like Tainted Grail doesn't even have the same appeal. Like Skyrim is like Tainted Grail is almost like if Skyrim was made by a guy who just wanted to kill stuff all the time. Like the RPG stuff, the immersion stuff was like secondary, definitely, to just bashing things over the head, which would be fine if like it had really good gameplay, but I think it was just like decent. You know, it could be much better for sure. Yeah, Avowed. Yeah, when the competition is Avowed, and like you look at the other games that Bethesda's made sense, Fallout 4, Starfield, you know, this shit. Yeah, of course Skyrim looks good next to those games. But like, I don't know, this is a terrible example because I've played plenty of better games. I mean, that's an understatement. I played a fuck ton of games better than Skyrim. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like that.
decade, and they still have yet to release an Elder Scrolls 6 or a GTA 6. I genuinely feel like our cultural output has just ran out of steam, and we are incapable of creating things like this anymore. And that's also why the gaming industry is so reliant on remakes. I find myself looking back on games like Skyrim or even LEGO Star Wars as if I'm looking at Stonehenge or the Pyramids of Egypt, like I'm staring at some Gothic cathedral and wondering, why can't we make things like this anymore?
Yeah, the fact that he compared Skyrim to a Gothic cathedral, just go back to your Dark Souls example. The problem is, obviously, Dark Souls, there's so many games since, but like none of them captured the magic of Dark Souls. That's the difference. Bloodborne was the closest. Bloodborne definitely, especially if we're talking about Gothic architecture, then Bloodborne is a literal comparison, right? But anyway, the point is, I still think Dark Souls was their best game because every area they improved on since Dark Souls is either not important or directly hurt the other unique elements of Dark Souls, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about Dark Souls for the millionth time. We all know it's basically an unfinished game, right? So that's a problem. And I think From Software did get better about that in the games they made afterward. But, yeah, I don't know.
The YouTube trends over the years are interesting to note as well. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, Let's Plays were popular, as well as angry video game reviews, and these types of videos were casual and not that serious. You could laugh along with PewDiePie as he's playing through Octodad.
Don't worry about it. It's totally not TV. Don't break the TV, girl. You broke the TV! That's not even a TV. Okay, we're in the kitchen. Hey, babe.
Morning, sleepyhead.
Wow, you sound like a man.
That you could say that. You definitely could just say that. The fact that that's even offensive now is ridiculous.
That's okay.
Or be amused by James Rolfe throwing a tantrum at an old Nintendo game and having some elaborate skit with some guy in a Bugs Bunny costume. Instead of goofy reviews or casual Let's Plays, these late 2010s video essays were analytical and serious. They would assess games in detail, describing why certain game mechanics work and why others didn't.
With more than one opponent, incoming attacks can layer over each other in unpredictable ways. You may successfully dodge the first attack but get caught in the second one during the exact same roll because there was no correct time to roll at all. Holding your shield up faces the same problem, a barrage of attacks that layer over themselves so that there is no real opening for a counterattack. Enemies also have an additional advantage in that their attacks don't bounce off walls like yours do. It makes sense that you can't swing a sword through a wall, but it doesn't make sense that the monsters you're fighting can. It's one of the most frustrating features in the game and is also full of inconsistencies.
And maybe discuss.
Yeah, that's some autistic dog shit complaints right there.
The game's story or its themes.
Demon's Souls' greatest strength is how it pulls you into its bleak, dangerous world so that you think about situations the way you would if you were actually there.
Dude, I seriously, especially since he's back to making videos, Devin apparently watched his latest video and said it wasn't very good because he was complaining about coyote time, which I'd never heard that term before, but it's basically in a platformer, like you basically have a small window after you walk over a ledge where you're still able to jump, right? And Matthewmatosis said that's bad because it's dishonest or something. It's just like, that is fucking no, I'm gonna be honest. Like, listen, we all know everyone on V is a LARPing faggot who doesn't play video games anyway, but that's why it annoys me, because like, people don't say this anymore, but they used to say a lot, like, I stole his opinions from 4chan. It's like, listen, I've always been very honest about, you know, using the site, obviously, but these fucking, listen, Matthewmatosis is overrated. I'll just say that's it. I don't have to say a whole bunch of shit, but like, there's so many things he said in those videos that I feel like it sounded great when you're a fucking teenager and you've never heard it phrased in an eloquent or intelligent, simple way. But if you actually examine the opinions, like, a lot of them are ass. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, this is like, Demon Souls is immersive, but it's not like, oh wow, what would I do if I was there? No, absolutely not.
This is something that the Souls games continue to do kind of well, but Demon Souls still does it the best of them all, because excluding the innovative online features, almost everything else works in service of that larger goal. Phalanx, Leechmonger, Tower Knight, Fool's Idol, Old Hero, Maneaters and Armor Spider all have quirks to their design or their arena that the player can exploit if they figure out. You don't outright win by doing so, but you gain a big advantage if you're willing to use your brain. On the other hand, dodging telegraphed attacks, which come out in predefined combos, is
This I do agree with. That part is absolutely right. Like, this stuff, like, again, we didn't watch the Firelink conspiracy thing, but I'm sure Firelink conspiracy is like, actually, here's 35 examples where you can use spacing in this way. I mean, it's like, no. His general point is correct. There might be exceptions. This I do agree with. He's absolutely right about that.
just exploiting your knowledge that the AI is acting within the constraints of a computer game. This has the opposite effect. It widens the gap between the character and the player.
And these videos were usually a lot longer than the angry review format, and also much more minimalist in approach. No elaborate skits, just some guy talking over game footage. Finally, we get to the 2020s and the challenge run era of video game videos, and it kind of feels like a weird hybrid of the other two eras. The fun is back, like the Let's Play or angry.
And the real issue here is these artists have literally spent more time analyzing these games than the devs spent creating the game. Yeah, there seems to be two types of people when it comes to like critiquing or praising game development. You either think the game developers were gods, experts in their craft, knew everything to make things correct, and then there's like my team, which is they're incompetent tards. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Which obviously I'm not talking about the same people, right? Like the same dev team. But the reality is sometimes things are accidentally good, and you know, it's through like refinement and like QA testing or even just like personal like dev time on playing the stuff that it ends up being good. It doesn't mean they wrote a manifesto on how to build a good boss fight or something that they do every time to like make the best thing ever. It was probably something in Demon Souls case is probably something as simple as like, okay, every single boss needs to have a gimmick of some kind, and then they just came up with a list of gimmicks like, okay, Leech guy is weak to fire, you know, fucking Phalanx is a bunch of dudes who's stabbing you, you know, like you just keep coming up with stuff. The fucking Adjudicator's got the huge butcher knife thing sticking out of him, and the rest of his body's like rubber, so it bounces off. You know, they probably literally just, that's what they did. They just like, okay, we need, throw an idea. What's an idea for like a spin on this fight? It wasn't like, I can't even do like a fucking Scottish, Irish, whatever the fuckish accent, but you get the point. It's like, my brain's fried, guys. Let's move on.
And I think these eras reflect the cultural zeitgeist and generational mindsets of the people creating and consuming this content. The first era, the Let's Play / angry reviewer era, was the bargaining stage of grief. A time of just goofing around and having a laugh. Procrastination, distraction, escapism. And the people making that content were largely Gen X or older millennials, those with a bit of a snarky, jaded disposition, hence the character of the angry reviewer. And if you're shouting at the screen right now about how dumb I am saying that the angry reviewer era is the bargaining stage when there is literally an anger stage of grief, I'll explain. I believe that the generations lag a bit behind the time.
Yeah, something I've realized about this video is that he was kind of like waffling around so much about like random shit that I forgot this is supposed to connect to the 7 stages of grief. Did he even talk about like what the context is for the 7 stages of grief? Like, is the 7 stages of grief in this case supposed to represent all of life or something? Like, I'm confused. Like, I'm assuming this is unscripted, which, you know, I've had this problem in my videos sometimes where you just kind of like go off on a tangent for so long you forgot like what even the point of what you were talking about is, which I've done on this very stream today multiple times. But I am actually confused like what the purpose is. Like, okay, it says eulogy for video games, but the only thing he's described specifically is we're talking about the fuck, I already forgot what the stage was. I'll remember the timestamp. Testing. Yeah, so the point of this video is talking about the testing phase in the stages of grief, right? But now I fucking, what was it, 1457 or whatever. So we're like 15 minutes in the video, and now he's talking about bargaining over here, and he's about to explain why it's not anger. I'm still confused as to what the fuck any of this is representing. You know what I mean?
I just know if I don't address that, I'll get a comment or two saying, hey genius, wouldn't the angry reviewer be the anger stage of grief? Duh. Likewise, the second era, the video essay era, is like the depression stage of grief. Reflective and sober. A bit of a downer compared to the former fun era. However, the people who made these videos were often millennials who had a bit more of a bargaining.
See, my problem is if the 7 stages of grief in this case is supposed to be like, oh, we're lamenting the death of gaming, then the angry review shit doesn't make any sense because video games were still good in 2008. Like, didn't Angry Video Game Nerd start his first video in like 2004 or 5? It was something like that, the first video. That's literally the golden age. Those were joke videos about just an angry dude. It was about Mike Matei, ironically. Basically, the Angry Video Game Nerd character is James Rolfe just doing Mike Matei basically as like a skit character. I mean, Mike Matei wrote a bunch of the episodes. So the fucking AVGN episodes are coming out during the golden age of video games. So clearly it can't be about the death of video games if that's what this is about. That just makes no sense. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm confused as to what the point of this video is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even saying it's terrible, but I think like somewhere where he was writing this or writing notes or however he determined this ramble shit, that he lost the point somewhere. It doesn't matter for those guys. I'm just looking at things from like having a brain perspective instead of being like a retarded boomer type thing. Like, no one with a functioning brain thinks the golden age of gaming was the 80s. Nobody. Like, seriously, nobody fucking thinks that. That's just shit. But I know some of these nostalgia blinded boomer autist types might LARP about that, but that's just not true.
Hypnoshark, who plays almost exclusively Crash Team Racing.
Dingo Dial is in the back rooms. Oh my god, he's stuck. Wait, did it just spawn me? It spawned me against the wall so I get discombobulated?
Or the various channels that strictly cover the Souls games. These channels rarely cover newer games unless they are related to a property that they are nostalgic for. Maybe if they cover SpongeBob or Spyro games, for example, they'll do runs of a new release in one of these franchises. However, they'll probably get bored of it after a week and go back to obsessively playing the older games. As I touched on earlier,
like I said, there's another very obvious reason for this. If you've dedicated your channel to talk about one game and you cover another game, that video will bomb so hard that you'll fucking, like, you know, have a depressive episode and freak the fuck out. Honestly, I should be thankful that my video bombs still usually end up getting 40 to 50,000 views because, like, I've seen way worse. That proves I actually have a decent, like, true fan base. I'll watch anything I put out as long as it's not complete shit. There's people who, you know, if you fucking, I don't know, I'll just say a random example. If your whole channel is dedicated to Super Mario 64 and one day you play Dark Souls, like, you're gonna go from 100,000 views to like 5,000 views. Like, it's that fucking bad. Because YouTube will not show the video to your own fucking fans because the algorithm is fucking shit. It's shit.
Pac-Man. The gameplay reminded me of something like Hollow Knight. I guess even Pac-Man has to be a Souls-like Metroidvania to remain relevant nowadays. But jokes aside, something saddened me about seeing this, as this new game was 2D. Pac-Man, of course, started off as a 2D arcade game in the 80s, but by the turn of the century, you had the Pac-Man World games, which were 3D, which I played when I was a kid. Now in the 2020s, Pac-Man is back to being a 2D game again. It feels like we're evolving backwards.
It's because the corpos didn't want to give it a budget higher than, 2 nickels. So this is the best they could do.
Nothing about Shadow Labyrinth feels like it needed to come out in the 2020s. As far as the gameplay and graphics are concerned, I think something like Shadow Labyrinth easily could have come out in the 90s. So I think I made this whole video because I myself am feeling grief over video games of all things, as it feels like the best is behind us when it comes to my favorite pastime. I suspect that Generation Alpha won't like video games as much as we do, and might largely move on to other things, all while millennials and zoomers stay fixated on their escapism and nostalgia. And this is why we have the challenge run. It's a way to make the old new, to make do with what we have, rather than hoping for something better.
This is still nonsense. There's so many other options. This is a, neurodivergent problem, is what this is.
And in this way, perhaps, we will reach acceptance. Our acculturation continues.
All right. That was definitely a video. I don't know. It held my attention. We definitely could have stopped that like 5 minutes in, but I was just curious because there were opinions, and I like real opinions even if I disagree with them, unless it's rage bait.